Before today's video, don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss out on the latest videos. If you want to see a case or topic covered by Paranormally Listed, then go to criminallylisted.com and fill out the questionnaire under the Suggest a Case tab. Number 3. Peoria Public Library. One such library that's believed to be haunted is the Peoria Public Library in Peoria, Illinois. The story of this particular haunting predates the library itself. In the 1830s, there was a woman who lived on Monroe Street in Peoria named Mary Gray. She lived with her husband, Andrew Gray. They were two Irish immigrants. Mary was a gardener and worked on the grounds of her property. Their nephew came to live with them after his father, Mary's brother, died. Unfortunately, the nephew, whose name has been lost to time, had some issues. He was known for not being very motivated. He drank quite a bit and spent much of his time with his friends instead of working. As a result of his behavior, Mary's nephew became well known to the local police and found his troubles became legally concerning. To his luck, a lawyer named David Davis moved into the area. Mary's nephew hired Davis to defend him against the charges. Davis did quite a good job. He was on a winning streak, including cases where he defended the nephew. However, the nephew never seemed to think he'd be better off behaving rather than going to court. So Mary and her husband ran up a bill with Davis. It became increasingly difficult for the Grays to pay Davis for services rendered, so Davis got a mortgage on their home. He sued when they couldn't pay, and the Grays had to foreclose on their house. The Grays also sent the nephew away. Instead of the story ending with him returning and everyone making peace, the nephew was found dead in the river days later. The Grays felt terrible about their nephew's passing, especially in the midst of losing their home. So Mary put a curse on the property that the grounds would have thorns and thistles, ill luck, sickness and death to its every owner and occupant. The curse began a chain of events that affected everyone living on the grounds. The garden that was once kept beautiful by Mary didn't look so good after the curse, and no one in the village wanted anything to do with the property, so no one maintained it. Davis, who was enjoying a winning streak and professional and financial success prior to the curse, became much less popular following the curse. He never even lived on the property and left town soon afterward. The house then caught fire, and people claimed to witness Mary Gray standing inside the house while it went up in flames. She seemed happy that the home was being destroyed. The next owner of the land was Thomas Ford, a former governor. All his children met early ends. His daughters all passed away from consumption, and both of his sons were killed. The land then went to Tom Lindsay, a formerly enslaved person freed due to the Emancipation Proclamation. Lindsay built a small house on the land, but it burned down only 3 months after lightning struck it. While Lindsay wasn't aware of the curse before he moved onto the property, he was told after his house was destroyed. He was a big believer in curses, but he wanted to keep the property. He rebuilt the house and buried a petrified rabbit's foot under the front door and had horseshoes in each room of the house. And it seemed to do the trick, as he was curse-free for 25 years until he died. A businessman purchased the home, and his wife died there within the year. A banker then owned the property, and his wife became pregnant. Tragically, the wife and the child died during childbirth. The banker soon remarried and had another son. The son developed a habit of sleeping in cold places in the house. Tragically, he died, which affected the mother so much that she went to Minneapolis to focus on her mental health. The next owner was a boarding house keeper. After moving in, their daughter drowned in Lake Peoria, and her son died after falling out of a hot air balloon. So the property certainly saw its fair share of tragedy. You may be wondering, was the curse of Old Lady Gray behind it all? And where does the library come into play? The Peoria Public Library opened in 1897 on the corner of Monroe Street, close to the original Gray House. The first 3 directors of the library died under tragic circumstances. The first director was E.S. Wilcox, who was incredibly passionate about the concept of free library services. He oversaw the building of the library. He died in 1915 at the age of 84 on the corner of Main Street and Glen Oak Ave after being hit by a streetcar. The second director was S. Patterson Prowse. He died in 1921 at 64 of a massive heart attack during a board meeting inside the library. The third director was Dr. Edwin Wiley. He took his own life in 1924 by drinking arsenic. He was 52 years old. So the history of the location of the library is so shocking, it is not difficult to believe that all the events that occurred there were the result of some curse. The original library was torn down in 1966 and a new library opened in March of 1968, but it seems that the new building didn't confuse any ghosts, as many seem to have stuck around. Many workers in the library have claimed to have experiences with the ghosts. Some have experienced books falling off shelves, cold breezes, doors shutting, and hearing other noises. Some even claim to have seen the first library director, Wilcox, and the old Grey Lady herself, Mary Gray, around in the stacks. One worker said he saw a man dressed in turn-of-the-century clothing in an area people weren't supposed to be. When the worker spoke to them and said they weren't allowed to be there, the man tipped his hat and walked away. The worker followed, but the man disappeared. Another worker says they saw a woman in a long dress with old-fashioned high heels and a hat with a veil in the library before they were opened. She disappeared seconds after being seen. Now the workers are concerned that the ghosts are malicious in any way. They are simply making their presence known. Number 2. Felbrigg Hall. Let's travel from Illinois to Norfolk, England, where Felbrigg Hall is situated. The Felbrigg family once owned the home, which was later purchased by the Wyndham family in the 15th century. William Wyndham III, born in 1750 and died in 1810, took possession of the house in 1794. William loved books and enjoyed spending his time in the library reading. In 1809, yes, you're probably noticing that's 1 year before his death date in 1810, Wyndham saw that a house close to his friend's home was on fire. He rushed to the home with 3 people to save as many books and manuscripts as possible before the fire found its way to the library. He succeeded in saving some, but he fell and bruised his hip in the process. The bruise eventually became a tumor, and even though they tried to save him with surgery, Wyndham died in 1810. But it seemed that Wyndham's love of his library and reading didn't die when he shuffled off his mortal coil, because many have reported that he's still around. He was apparently found in his library on more than one occasion by the fire reading. Some even claim that if you put out a certain combination of books on the table, you will summon him. However, no one is quite sure what books they may be, so it may be a little difficult to summon him, but you might get lucky. It would seem that death could not keep Wyndham away from a good book. Number 1. Willard Library. For our last library, let's go back stateside. And this story also incorporates a Grey Lady, but a different Grey Lady than the Grey Lady at the Peoria Library. The public library in Indiana was built by Willard Carpenter, a real estate and railroad mogul, and he named it the Willard Library. He began building in 1881 and was very passionate about free library services. Sadly, he would not live to see the library completed, as he died in 1883 of a stroke, only 2 years before the library was completed in 1885. But his passion for the library remained. He left all his money to the library, so the project itself was never sacrificed. We're sure the town of Evansville was relieved to have the money, but it certainly did make his kids very happy. He had been estranged from his kids, and he even told his daughter that she wouldn't get any money from him after he died. Louise Carpenter, his daughter, sued for the inheritance, and she lost. While this story is less tragic than the other libraries, it seems that Louise took the loss of the inheritance pretty hard, because many feel she haunts the library. In 1937, a janitor saw a woman wearing a gray veil in the basement. He apparently was so shocked by her presence that he dropped his light. When he got himself together, she was gone. The incident freaked him out so much that he quit his job. Other workers have claimed to have seen her as well, or at least experienced her presence. Some smell her perfume before she appears. Others have seen her in the book stacks or on the elevator. People have reported feeling cold air or noticed the water faucets and lights turning on and off. Ghost hunters who visit the library found the electromagnetic fluctuation in the storeroom was very high. She was also known to move books and furniture around, which we suspect is her trying to make the librarians' jobs harder since she hates the library that got all her father's money. She seems very bitter about the whole thing, even now. Sometimes grudges don't die when their owners do, we guess. If you're interested, there's a live feed of cameras, or ghost cams, in the Willard Library. Let us know in the comments if you see Louise's ghost and if she seems bitter. Libraries are places for people to gather, learn, be entertained, and exchange information. These libraries seem to have many people with unfinished business that, in one form or another, brings them back to the library, whether it's because they love it or really hate it. Thank you so much for watching this video. We hope you found it interesting. If you did find it interesting, please make sure you subscribe. We'll have a new video about the paranormal every week. If you just discovered this channel, please make sure you check out our other channel, Criminally Listed. We have over 325 videos featuring bizarre but true crime stories. You can find it at youtube.com/criminallylisted. We also have a podcast about cold cases that were eventually solved called Criminally Listed Presents Into the Killing. You can find it on Stitcher, Spotify, Amazon Music, and anywhere you find great podcasts. But that's all for today. Thanks again for watching.